Glue Dots, I'm Elaine, the Midnight Crafter. Tonight's project is going to be a quick little DIY for a Father's Day gift or for the man in your life. Doesn't have to be for a man, honestly. It's actually pretty neutral, but it's a good one just in case you need something for Father's Day gift. You can change it up depending on which coasters you use, and you can glam it up with different trim, and you can even make a box for whatever occasion. So before we get on to it, if you do me a favor, stick with me, become part of the Glue Dot family, hit the subscribe button below. The bell next to it will inform you whenever I come up with some other crazy idea in my brain and put a video out there. So that's about it, and I know you want to get to it, so let's do it. Starting out with our coasters, one face down, and then we're going to be gluing them around each of the sides on the outside rim of the one that's upside down. So your corners will look something like that, and then we're going to be taking care of that after finishing it off with some nautical rope. So I'm going to be using a combination of the Fix-All adhesive and the hot glue gun to adhere those. I think it'll be a much better hold than doing one or the other. And I'm going to put my Fix-All adhesive on the bottom piece. And add in a little of the hot glue. Lay it down flat and then attach it. I'm going to put a piece of, this is just parchment paper. I'm going to put that under there because, I don't know, could end up gluing it to my table. That would be bad. Okay, so we're going to go around. I'm going to glue on the other sides. Again, gluing to the bottom piece that's laying down first. Now don't worry too terribly much about these corners. Get the basic lineup going. There may be a teeny tiny bit of a space in between, but again, that nautical rope is going to take care of that. So you can see that there's just a little bit of a space there. That's all going to get held together later on. Okay, so you can see I've got plenty of space in between there, but with the hot glue, the nautical rope is pretty thick around, so it definitely will cover up a lot of that space. Now it's going to be a little challenging for me to show you this because it is late at night and I don't want to wait overnight for this to dry, and I do want to get it done and show you guys. So I'm just going to carry on and keep my fingers crossed that it doesn't fall apart. Now the first thing I'm going to do is go around the bottom, and that will also help to keep everything secured. So I'm going to be using also my Fix-All as well as my hot glue so that I can go around the bottom edge of this. I'm going to actually put the glue on the rope so that I don't have to keep trying to lift up this thing and have it fall apart on me. Making sure that it lines up and that it's on the bottom touching the table as well. I really highly recommend you wait for this to dry overnight, because I'm just making it harder on myself right now. But I guess apparently, according to my mom, I've done that my whole life. I always have to do things the hard way. Make sure that it's pulled pretty firm and not very loose, because this is also a big part of what is helping to support those four sides there. And again, work fast, because that darn hot glue cools off really fast on that tile. So I'm going to cut off the excess, and then I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue on it to keep it from unraveling. Okay, so I'm going to attach these two bottom pieces to each other. Then we're going to work on putting this up the sides and filling in that space. And this is what's going to create the extra support for our walls not to jiggle around. You can see on the inside if there's any places that, let me see, where is that? If there's any places that have not actually adhered, and we're going to go back in there with some hot glue. We're going to run a line of hot glue up there to also give it some extra support. And we're going to go around and do that on all four sides. So once all four sides have the rope on it, you want to make sure that that rope is cut off pretty much as flush as possible with the top here. And then once you get all four sides done, it's going to have enough stability that we can actually move it around a little more easily without it falling apart. So we're going to go in on all of these inside corners, and we're going to put the hot glue just to reinforce everything. And you want to be pretty generous with it and try and, as best you can, stick in that corner. You might veer off track a little bit, but do the best you can to try and stay actually in the corner. The next step we're going to be doing is going around this top rim with the rope as well, so that all four of the edges of the coaster have the rope on them and you won't really see this white rim. We're going to set this aside to dry for a little bit now that we've got that all four parts of the top glued, and we're going to work on making the lid. So the lid, you see that right now would fall just right inside if we put it on there. So we're also going to put this nautical rope all the way around the lid as well, and then we're going to give that a chance to dry a little bit. So now, even though we just finished this one, I still want to give our box a little more time to dry since this lays flat. So we're going to go ahead and work on the little bit of twine edging around to cover what little bit of white is still showing on there. Plus it's nice, it'll add different dimensions. So for this, I would suggest that you try and put your glue a little bit onto your twine as opposed to trying to put it onto the coaster, because it's going to be really hard with this point to not get glue all over the place. So if you can just put it on a little bit lining onto your twine, I think is just going to be a tidier way to go. Okay, so the lid now has that little bit of twine around, which really helped to cover up the extra white that was showing. And now we're going to make a little knob for the top. So you're going to take your piece of twine, sorry, not twine, your nautical rope, and just tie a regular knot like you would. And then what we're going to do is just fold the excess piece underneath, and we're going to just glue it to the base there. If you know how to make any of those fancy nautical knots that are like a ball, that would be even better. I have no idea how to do that, so we're just going to go with my little knot. Okay, as soon as that dries, I'm going to actually just reinforce underneath with a little bit of extra glue. So now that I've reinforced the underneath, instead of cutting off the excess, what we're going to do is we're just going to make one loop around to create a little bit of a base. Okay, so just going to add some glue there and just wrap that around. So nothing fancy. Now this is, remember, this is the bottom side of our knot. Going around, putting a little excess hot glue and wrapping this around, creating another little base, and give that a moment to dry. Cut this off. Okay, now that our knot is cooled off, I'm going to use a little more of our Fix-All adhesive. And then we'll also be adding hot glue, again for the more immediate sticking. And center it on top of your lid. Now that's going to need a bit of time to dry, so while that dries, we're going to work on also trimming out with our twine the rest of the box. This twine is not from Dollar Tree, but I do recommend the Dollar Tree twine over this one. It's a little bit thicker, so you'll have an easier time. So while you're gluing on that twine, you're going to want to go just around the 3 sides initially and leave the bottom one open, because at the end we're going to go around and do the entire bottom one, and that way it'll have a smoother, cleaner finish to it and not so many ends showing. Okay, so we have all 4 sides done with the extra little bit of twine. Now what we're going to do is go around one big string all the way around the entire base, and then that way it'll kind of cover up some of these other edges as well. The last thing we're going to do, since I got all the sides done now, the base and everything, is turn the box over, and we're going to really get in there and put some hot glue to fill in those spaces and add that final bit of support. So now you could be finished just right at this point. It's really cute, and the lid fits on nicely. There's nothing really that holds it in place, but it doesn't slide around because of the rope. And there's also one extra touch that you could do if you'd like to really personalize this. And what that would be is to create the initial of whomever you're giving it to, or write Dad or whatever, and glue that on with your twine. So I'll show you an example of that. I'll do an N for Nico, which is my hubby. Not that he's my father, but he's the father of my kids, and he's an amazing dad, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how we could do that. I did decide to do one final thing. I'm actually going to put one more row of this rope within here so that the lid will rest inside and not slide around. So if it was to be tilted, the lid would not slide. So and there you go. And see how the lid stays on there now? It moves a tiny bit, but it won't slide off. Before that worked out really, really nicely. Anyway, enjoy it and have fun making it, and have fun personalizing it to whoever you're making it for. You can spell a whole word out, you can do just an initial. Just be creative. Happy crafting!